This could be the single biggest shakeup to your 2026 book of business. So for the past 4 years, these subsidies have made coverage more affordable. They have put millions of clients into the marketplace and reducing their out-of-pocket premiums. Now, it was meant to be temporary at the beginning, but failing to plan ahead now could set you up for failure, reduce your retention, and permanently shrink your active book of business. Okay, so let's get into actually what's changing and what that looks like. So I'm going to share a quick article from KFF, Kaiser Foundation. They have a great kind of breakdown on this. I'm going to pull this up. So basically, in 2021, what they did, and in response to COVID, really was they extended the subsidies above 400% of the FPL. Number one. Okay, so that was part of it. And then they also reduced the percentage of income that people pay in lower tax brackets for health insurance. So you can see here an individual making 18,000, if the credits expire, they'll pay about 2.1% of income. Again, you can see with the enhanced credits, they were at zero premium, really. They were at zero premium up until 22,000 was the benchmark. And the benchmark in any specific area is the second lowest cost silver plan. So in those areas, there was a lot of silver plans that were zero, right? In areas all over the country. So now with the enhanced subsidies expiring, you can see how that starts to affect the premiums, right? So at 35,000, you're going to be at like 7.5% of your income for that benchmark plan. And granted, there may be cheaper bronze options available as well. So you'll see folks maybe have to shift to bronze plan. This, what they call the cliff, would be coming back. So this cliff was if you were a dollar over 400% of the FPL, then there was no subsidy, right? And then if you were a dollar under 400% of the FPL, there could have been a large subsidy. So there's this drastic change in what you'd pay in your health insurance, depending on what you estimated your income to be for the coming year. So currently, 400% of the FPL for one person is $60,240, right? So if you're at $60,242, you have no subsidy. If you were at $60,239, depending on your age, you could have seen a pretty significant subsidy. Like let's call it, $350 a month in this example, which that's a huge difference. So obviously, in that scenario, it doesn't pay to make an extra $2 a year, right? So a lot of that is kind of planning ahead for what your tax return is going to look like in the coming year, whether that's putting money into an IRA to reduce your income to stay below that cliff. That's going to come back into play in 2026, unless again Congress decides to extend these subsidies, which every day that passes, the more and more unlikely it is that it'll be a smooth OEP. I mean, we're almost past the point of no return. They usually, these exchanges, federal exchange, state-based exchange, they want to get these rates published and set in September, and then start to show people, obviously, the plans at least by November 1st. So even if there is an extension of this enhanced subsidies, the state exchanges, they may decide, hey, we're not going to go through the hassle of showing it this year. That's a possibility. And then there's the possibility that you may re-enroll somebody two times. One time with how the subsidies initially look with the expiration coming into play, and then another time with them putting that back and having to go back and say, okay, your premium was $200, now it's $100, for example, right? So this, again, was an individual. This is a family of four, right? So you can see the difference in a family of four. This is a huge difference for, again, somebody that's just over that threshold of 400% of FPL for a family of four. 100,000, obviously that's, $950 a month in the premium cost. So it's a huge difference. So again, there are things you could do to help your clients plan for the 2026 tax year if these cliffs do come back, because again, it's not going to pay to make an extra $5,000 or $6,000 in that situation. And this is kind of why they did introduce more of a gradual cliff with the enhanced subsidies, right? So, but again, as that's set to expire, that cliff would go away as well. Okay. These are just some estimates from Kaiser of how premium payments would be affected. Again, this is kind of like an average, right? So they're probably taking into account people that are also going to, you know, that were getting a large subsidy that are now in this, range here where they're on the wrong side of 400% of the FPL because you're seeing those. You're going to see the biggest swings, right? Some of these other swings, like 110,000, you're still at like a difference of $250 a month, which is still a difference, but you can maybe able to, if you're on a silver plan, you might be able to offset that increase by going to a bronze as well, right? So, and with that being said, this coming year in 2026, part of the, one big beautiful bill was all bronze plans are going to, on the exchange, are going to be HSA compatible, right? So in the past, if you had an HSA compatible plan, it meant that all expenditures would be subject to the deductible except preventative care. Now you can have a copay for the doctor visit, a copay for a specialist visit, still have a high deductible on a bronze plan, and that plan would be HSA compatible. So again, Kaiser points out rising difference, depending on what article you read, this could affect anywhere from 4 to 7 million folks, right? But there's going to be some effect on most people that are enrolled on the marketplace overall, right? Because again, the enhanced subsidies didn't just change what people over 400% of the FPL paid. It kind of changed what everybody paid, even at lower income levels, raising those subsidies. So here, this is another illustration of how the payments would increase for subsidized individuals. Again, this is a 45-year-old person. You'll see a 60-year-old couple. So again, the big swing is you're going to see here, right? If you're going to be over 400% of the FPL, it's a big swing. This was always the biggest swing, right? If you had like a couple that was 60 years old. So again, this reflects gross premium increase, this lighter blue, and this is the total premium increase when you factor in the subsidies. Like you could have had husband and wife age 60, right? And let's say they were earning in 2020, let's say they were earning 60,000. You might be looking at a difference in premium $500 versus $1,200. Like it was a huge swing. And this swing is reflected right here again, $18,000 annual difference. Again, part of it is helping people plan, like, am I taking money out of my 401k? Am I doing it on a regular basis? Instead of taking that out in the 2026 tax year, when I talk to them in open enrollment, hey, maybe you should take that out in the 2025 tax year because it's going to have a less effect on any subsidy reconciliation, money that you have to pay back. Because again, how it works, right? You're estimating what your future tax return is going to look like. So if I started planning in 2025, I'm estimating my 2025 income that's going to be filed when I file my return in 2026, right? So again, some of this would be planning ahead. Maybe you pay back like $500, $600 of subsidy because you took a qualified plan distribution in the 2025 tax year as opposed to the 2026 tax year. So getting in front of your clients and letting them know about different things that you could do as far as these strategies. The first step obviously is collecting, hey, what do you think your estimated income is going to be? And then, having these conversations with folks that are kind of around that cliff or cutoff as well. So, in ways that they may be able to, reduce their taxable income to keep it on the right side of that threshold. I mean, obviously, you can't always do that. Like if somebody's well above 400% of the FPL, then hey, then it is what it is. But if you're close, there may be things you could do to reduce your taxable income through HSA contributions, qualified plan contributions, things like that as well. Okay. So again, I think Kaiser is wholly, for the most part, you can say it leans one way or the other, but their stuff appears to be mostly bipartisan. Um, I've always relied on their data dating back to 2014 since the healthcare reform started. So I definitely think it's a good source. It's a good article to check out. We can post this in the description. Keep following us. We have another video right up here about the ACA and the enhanced tax credits and what's going on. So as soon as we have other updates, if Congress comes to an agreement, I think there is some, there's definitely bipartisan support to extend the enhanced subsidies. It's a matter of all the other things that they always want to put in these bills. Like I think there's kind of a dispute around, some of the um, Medicaid things that are set to expire in 2026 as well. So yeah, but we'll keep you updated on changes.